The Galaxy's council met in the Great Hall, a place built from black stone and glowing crystal. The chamber was filled with the sounds of alien voices, sharp and anxious. News had arrived only hours ago, and no one could explain it. A silver-skinned envoy named Carr stood at the center, holding a small data chip. "This," he said, raising it high, "is the last message from humanity." The council members leaned forward. The lights dimmed as the message played. A calm human voice spoke. "We leave. This is our quiet goodbye." There was no threat, no reason, no request for help. The message ended in complete silence. "That's it," barked Counselor Vesh, a tall insectoid creature with glassy red eyes. "No explanation? No warning?" Carr's voice was steady. "No more transmissions, no signs of war. They have vanished." The hall erupted in murmurs. Reports had already confirmed it. Human colonies were empty. Space stations abandoned. Their trade ships were gone from the galaxy's main routes. Some council members felt relief. For years, humans had been unpredictable, too clever, too stubborn, and too dangerous in war. Their absence could mean peace. But others felt something different, a shadow in their thoughts, a question that burned without answer. Counselor Thren, a scaled reptilian elder, tapped the table with one claw. "You do not understand humans," she said. "When they leave quietly, it is never without purpose." 3 days later, fleets were sent to investigate. The first ships entered the Soul Sector, the human heart. Planet after planet was still and empty. On Mars, the city stood untouched. Power systems still ran. Streets were clean. It looked as if the humans had simply walked away one morning. Commander Elric of the Keter Alliance landed with his team in New London, one of Earth's largest cities. The air was fresh, the sky clear. But the silence pressed against their minds. "Strange," said his second officer. "It feels alive, like someone is watching." Elric frowned. "Keep moving. Humans are gone. We take control." His soldiers moved through streets lined with human statues, parks full of green trees, and buildings still glowing with soft lights. On the kitchen table of one home, a plate of food waited as if for someone to return. By the second week, the council had claimed more than 50 human colonies. They planted their flags. They moved in settlers. The galaxy's market celebrated. Trade routes would be open without human tolls. But then, the reports began. A cargo ship disappeared in the Vega system. No wreckage. No distress signal. A patrol fleet near Alpha Centauri sent one last message before going silent. "We are not alone." Council leaders tried to keep it quiet, but fear spread fast. One night, in the orbital station above New London, a guard named Rollo sat alone in the watchroom. He stared at the radar screen, sipping a cup of hot Bryn tea. The dots showing the council's fleet glowed bright, until one vanished. Then another, and another. Rollo's rubbed his eyes. "System glitch," he muttered. But then the station lights flickered. A shadow passed outside the viewport, so large it blocked the stars. He leaned closer to the glass. For a moment he saw it, a massive black ship, smooth and silent, sliding past like a predator in deep water. Its edges glowed faintly blue. And then it was gone. The next morning, panic erupted in the council chambers. "They are back," said Thren. Her voice shook for the first time in years. "And they are not here for peace." Counselor Vesh slammed a fist against the table. "Then we strike first. Destroy whatever ships they fool," Thren hissed. "When humans are quiet, they are thinking. When they return, they have already decided." In the third week, the humans spoke again. A single broadcast appeared on every council screen, every communication channel. A man stood in shadow, his face hidden. "We asked for peace. You took our home. Now you will see." Our answer. No war declaration followed. No fleets gathered in open battle. Instead, human ships appeared and disappeared like ghosts. They struck without sound, disabling council stations, stealing supplies, vanishing before alarms could sound. Entire fleets were found drifting in space. Crews missing, ships untouched except for a small mark burned into the metal. A single human handprint. Commander Elric, stationed now on Mars, felt the change in the air. His troops no longer laughed in the streets. They walked quickly, eyes darting to shadows. One night, Elric awoke to the sound of footsteps in the hallway. He reached for his weapon and stepped outside, but the corridor was empty. At the far end, a single door swung open slowly, creaking. Inside was a human child's bedroom, untouched. A small toy soldier sitting on the bed. The lights went out. When they came back on, the toy soldier was gone. By the 6th week, the humans stopped hiding. Their fleets appeared in formation over captured worlds, moving like a tide. Their ships were larger, faster, deadlier than before. No one understood their new technology. It was like they had jumped 100 years ahead in the time they were gone. The council tried to negotiate. Messages were sent. None were answered. Then, without warning, the humans began reclaiming their planets, not with fire and destruction, but with precision. Council military posts were erased in seconds. Weapons were shut down without a single shot. Soldiers woke up to find their ships drifting far from any planet, their engines dead. At last, the council surrendered the human worlds. They retreated, silent and shaken. In the final meeting, only half the seats were filled. The rest were empty. Their members missing, their fleets gone. Carr, the envoy who had first delivered the human message, spoke in a low voice. They called it a goodbye, but it was not. Thren nodded slowly. It was a warning, and we were too proud to listen. Somewhere far away, in the deep dark of space, the human fleets vanished again, leaving behind no sound, no trace. Only the memory of what they could do. And the lesson burned into every council mind. When mankind leaves in silence, they are not gone. They are waiting. The council chamber was quiet now. Many of its members had disappeared, and the remaining ones moved like ghosts through the dark halls. The memory of the human's silent return haunted them all. Counselor Thren stood by a tall window, looking out at the stars. The silence around her was heavy. She turned to Carr, the silver-skinned envoy who had first brought the message. "Do you remember the wars?" she asked softly. Carr nodded. "How could I forget? The human wars changed everything." Thren's eyes grew sharp. They were fierce and cruel, yes. But humans were also builders, explorers, and traders. They gave much to the galaxy. Carr looked doubtful. But they were dangerous. Their wars cost millions of lives. Thren sighed. "That is true, but their ways were strange. They fought with fire and steel, yes, but they also had a code. A strange sense of honor." Suddenly, the chamber doors opened with a sharp hiss. Counselor Vesh stormed in, his many eyes flashing with anger. "They are back," he growled, "and they are not here to talk." "Calm yourself," Thren said. "We do not know what they want yet." Vesh scoffed. "We took their worlds while they were gone. We thought they had fled for good." "But they did not," Carr said quietly. "They left in silence to hide their plans. That is the true human way." Vesh slammed his claw on the table. "Then we must strike first. Show them we will not be fooled." Thren shook her head. "You are wrong. When humans are silent, they are thinking. When they act, they have already decided." Far from the council, on the quiet planet of Verdanus, a young human historian named Lyra sat in her small study. She read old reports about the human wars and the strange peace that followed. Her brother, Jace, entered. "Why study the past now? The galaxy thinks we are gone." Lyra looked up. "Because the past tells us who we are. And soon the galaxy will remember us again." Jace frowned. "You worry too much." Lyra smiled softly. Maybe, but I feel it too. The shadow of those wars, waiting to rise once more. Back in the council halls, a secret meeting was called. The oldest members gathered to share what little they knew. We fought humans for centuries, said Elder Sorin, his voice low. They destroyed our fleets, burned our cities, but they never gave up. They always returned stronger. They had weapons unlike any other, added Elder Mira. Weapons that could hide in plain sight. They fought in silence, then struck with sudden force. Carr listened closely. That is why they left quietly, to rebuild. To grow. Thren nodded. And now they have come back. We must be ready. On the edges of human space, council scouts reported strange signs. Empty ships drifting, strange signals that disappeared when approached, and shadows moving where no one should be. Commander Elric stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the stars. The humans are hiding something, he said. But, what? His first officer, Tira, replied, whatever it is dangerous. We have to find out before it's too late. One night, a transmission broke the silence. The council gathered around their communication devices. A human voice spoke. Clearly, we did not leave because we were weak. We left because we had to prepare. The galaxy will soon see the true power of mankind. The message ended, leaving a cold silence behind. Vesh clenched his fists. They threaten us. Thren stared at the screen. No, they warn us. Days passed, and tension grew. Strange ships appeared on the borders of council space, but they did not attack. Instead, they watched. Silent and cold, Lyra, the human historian, read old records of peace talks that failed long ago. My people wanted peace, she told Jace, but the council did not trust us. They feared our strength. Jace shook his head. Do you think the past will repeat itself? Lyra smiled sadly. I hope not. But the shadows of the past are long. In the council chamber, a voice broke the silence. It was Carr. We made a mistake. We should have listened when they first spoke. Thren nodded. It is too late for regrets. Vesh growled. Then we fight. We will not be slaves to fear. The chamber fell quiet again, heavy with fear and uncertainty. Far from the council, Lyra looked at the stars. The past is not gone, she whispered. It waits in the shadows. And soon it will return. The galaxy held its breath. The silence before the storm stretched wide and deep, and the shadows of the past moved closer. The great hall of the council was filled with tension. Leaders from many worlds gathered in a circle, their faces hard and voices low. The sudden disappearance of humanity and now their quiet return had shaken everyone to their core. Counselor, Vesh slammed his claw on the table. We cannot wait any longer. The humans took their worlds from us while we did nothing. They left us with no word, no warning. Now they return on their own terms. We must act. Thren, the wise reptilian elder, raised a claw for silence. Vesh, rushing into war will destroy us all. Humans are not like other species. They do not fight without reason. Their silence hides purpose, not weakness, Vesh sneered. Purpose? Their purpose is to destroy us. Have you forgotten the human wars? The countless lives lost? They will not stop until we are gone. Carr, the silver-skinned envoy, stepped forward. I have studied the humans for years. They respect strength but hate betrayal. We took what was not ours while they were gone. If we attack first, we become the betrayers. Counselor Mira, a quiet voice from the far side, spoke up. Perhaps we should try peace once more. Send a message, ask why they left and why they returned now. Vesh laughed bitterly. Peace? After the silence and the theft? They showed us nothing but disrespect. The room grew heated as voices rose and clashed. Some argued for war, others for caution. The council seemed trapped between fear and pride. Suddenly, the chamber doors hissed open. A messenger rushed in, holding a data pad. Counselors, new intelligence. Human ships have been spotted near the border of the Orlin system. They are gathering, but not attacking. Thren's eyes narrowed. They watch us, waiting for our next move. Vesh pointed a sharp claw. Then we show them strength. We send a fleet to Orlin. We end this before they decide to strike. Carr shook his head. If we send a fleet, they will see it as a threat, and then the real war begins. Mira added, we must be clever. A show of strength, yes, but also a message. We must ask for talks. We need to understand their silence. The debate raged on for hours. Outside, the stars blinked cold and silent. At last, the council voted. They would send a fleet to Orlin, but with orders to avoid fighting if possible. They would also send a message asking humans to meet and talk, but the decision did not bring comfort. Many feared the fragile peace was broken. Later that night, in a quiet chamber, Thren spoke softly to Carr. We stand on the edge of a blade. One wrong move and the galaxy will burn. Carr looked out at the dark sky. The humans are not what we expected. We must be ready for anything. Far away, in the shadows beyond known space, human ships drifted silently. Their leaders watched the Council's actions, waiting. The silent game had begun. The Council's fleet sailed into the once human systems with a quiet confidence. Commander Elric stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the stars pass by through the thick glass. The planets below were silent, their cities untouched. It seemed almost a gift, a chance to claim new worlds without a fight. Commander, his first officer Tira said, the sensors show no signs of life. The cities are intact. It's like the humans vanished overnight. Elric nodded slowly. They left without a trace. No battle, no warning, just gone. The fleet landed on Mars, the red dust rising softly as ships touched down. Soldiers disembarked, moving carefully through the empty streets. In the main city, New London, the air smelled faintly of earth and metal. Look at this, Elric said, pointing to a small cafe. A cup sat on the table, still warm. They left in a hurry, or they planned this silence well. A scout approached, his voice tense. Commander, I don't like this. It feels wrong, like someone's watching us. Elric frowned. Stay alert. We take control, but stay ready for anything. Weeks passed. The Council planted their flags. Across the planets, they moved settlers into human homes, opened trade routes, and declared the systems theirs. The galaxy's market celebrated the end of human influence, but strange things began to happen. A cargo ship disappeared near Vega. No distress call, no wreckage. A patrol fleet reported strange shadows on the edge of sensor range. One night, aboard the flagship, Elric sat alone in his quarters. The lights flickered. A soft sound came through the halls, a whisper that seemed to come from nowhere. Commander, Tira's voice crackled over the comm. We have movement outside, unknown ships approaching silently. Elric grabbed his jacket and rushed to the bridge. The radar showed no signs, but the main screen flickered with a dark shape crossing slowly. Impossible, Elric whispered. They're hiding and watching. The next morning, panic spread through the fleet. They are here, Elric told his officers. And we made a mistake. Counselor Vesh stormed into the command center via hologram. You were warned. Humans do not leave without reason. You took their worlds while they planned their return. Elric clenched his fists. We thought they had fled. We thought the silence meant weakness. Vesh's eyes burned. The silence was a trap. You have awakened something far worse than war. That night, as the fleet rested, strange shadows moved in the empty streets of New London. Guards heard footsteps where no one should be. Lights flickered and went out. On one ship, a crew vanished without a sound. Elric's voice broke over the comm again. Lock down all ships. Stay alert. But it was too late. A sudden attack hit before dawn. Human ships appeared from nowhere, striking with deadly precision. Their weapons were silent but effective, disabling engines and communication systems. No alarms, no warnings. Elric's fleet was caught off guard. Ships were crippled one by one, drifting helplessly in space. The Council's forces had been outsmarted, outplayed. After hours of chaos, the humans vanished again. No one knew where they had come from or where they had gone. Only the damage remained. Elric stared at the stars, his heart heavy. We walked into their trap, the first mistake. In the council chamber, Friend spoke softly. We must learn from this. They are not just enemies. They are patient. They wait for us to fall. Carr nodded. We cannot rush to war, but we cannot ignore what we have done. Vesh growled. We will fight back. We must. Thren looked at him with tired eyes. Yes, but we fight smart, or we lose everything. Far away, hidden in the shadows of space, the human fleets prepared for what was to come. Silent and deadly, they waited for the next move of the council. The mistake had been made, and the game was only beginning. The council's fleets were on edge. After the sudden attack, every commander watched the skies with sharp eyes, but the humans seemed to vanish like ghosts. No one knew where they were, or when they would strike again. Commander Elric paced on the bridge of his flagship. We can't find them, he said quietly. It's like they don't want to be found. His first officer, Tira, tapped the control panel nervously. Reports say ships disappear without warning. Cargo vessels. Patrols, just gone. Elric frowned. No distress signals, no fights, just silence. Suddenly, the communication system beeped. A message appeared on every screen in the fleet's command center. It was a strange signal, no words, just a series of tones and strange patterns. Ghost. Signals, muttered Carr, watching from a hologram projection. Humans are sending messages, but they don't want us to understand. Elric's voice was firm. Can we decode it? Tira shook her head. Not yet. It's scrambled, like a puzzle. Weeks passed. The council's fleets grew restless. Ships disappeared more often. Fleets reported strange lights in the darkness. But when they scanned, nothing was there. On the planet Verdanus, human historian Lyra studied the signals. These patterns, they are warnings, she told her brother Jace. Humans use codes like this in war. It means, beware. Jace looked out at the stars. But why send warnings if they hide? Lyra smiled sadly. Because they want us to fear, but not to know. It's part of the game. One night, Elric stood alone in the observation room. The stars looked calm, but his mind was restless. Tira, he called. Check the outer sectors again. I want. No surprises. Minutes later, alarms rang out. Commander, multiple ships are disappearing from our sensors. No trace, no signs of attack. Elric's heart raced. Prepare all defense systems. We're not safe. Suddenly, a strange message came through the comm system, clear and cold. You listen, but do not hear. You watch, but do not see. The silence is your enemy. Elric stared at the screen. Who is this? No answer came. Only the echo of silence. Counselor. Vesh appeared again in the command center hologram. We are losing control. The humans are masters of shadows. Thren shook her head. We must be patient. They want us to panic. Carr nodded. The ghost signals are part of their plan. They will strike when we least expect. That night, a cargo fleet near the Vega system vanished. Not a single distress call. Just a cold, empty space where ships had been moments before. The council held emergency meetings. The fear grew. Ik spoke quietly to his crew. We are being hunted. But the hunter does not show itself. We must stay strong. Far away, in the dark reaches of space, human ships watch silently. A leader spoke softly to the fleet. The council fears the silence. We use it to win. The galaxy waited in suspense, caught in the quiet before the next storm. The stars were calm, but the council's fleets were restless. Commander Elric stood on the bridge of his flagship, eyes fixed on the endless black. "They're coming back," he said quietly. His first officer, Tira, glanced up. "What makes you say that, sir?" Elric pointed to the screen. "Look at this energy reading. It's massive, larger than anything we've seen before, and it's moving fast toward the Orlan system." Suddenly, a shadow crossed the sensor screen. It was huge, smooth, and silent. Tira swallowed hard. A human ship? Elric nodded. "Not like before. This is new technology, faster, stronger, more advanced." The council chamber buzzed with tension as Carr reported. "The humans have returned, not in silence, but with power." Councillor Vesh slammed his claw on the table. "Then we must strike first. Destroy them before they can attack." Thren's voice was calm but firm. "Hasty action will be our doom. We must understand what they want." Before the council could decide, the humans made their presence known. A fleet of ships appeared over former human colonies, their hulls glowing faint blue, weapons silent but deadly. A broadcast played on all channels, showing a shadowed figure. "We asked for peace. You took our worlds. Now you will see our answer." The humans struck quickly and without warning. Council fleets were disabled in moments. Ships drifted, crews vanished. No large battles, only silent precision. Elric watched helplessly. "They don't fight like us. They fight smarter." Councillor Mira whispered, "This is no simple war. It is a reckoning." After hours, the human fleet disappeared again, leaving only the echo of their warning dot in the council chamber. The mood was grim. Carr said softly, "They are not just back. They are here to reclaim what is theirs." Thren nodded. "And we must face the consequences." Far beyond, the human fleets vanished once more into the dark, leaving the galaxy trembling at the return of a power it thought was gone forever. The silence that followed the sudden human attacks was heavy and cold. Commander Elric stood on the bridge of his crippled flagship, eyes scanning the dark space outside the viewport. Ships drifted nearby, lifeless and quiet. "We asked for peace," Elric whispered, staring at the flickering screens. "But they answered with this." His first officer, Tira, tightened her grip on the console. They didn't want war, but they weren't afraid of it either. Across the galaxy, the council's leaders gathered once more. Councillor Vesh paced angrily. "We were fools to take their worlds. Now look at what we've lost." Thren's voice was calm but heavy. "They fought without fury, without fire. Their strikes were precise. We never stood a chance." Carr stepped forward. "The humans are not like us. Their power is quiet but deadly. They do not waste energy. They do not waste lives." A sudden message echoed through the chambers. A human voice, calm and steady. "We asked for peace. You took our home. Now you will see our answer. No threats." "No threats, only cold truth." Elric's cum crackled. "Commander, new ships detected their soul, larger and faster than before." He nodded. "Prepare for battle. This is the reckoning." The human fleet moved like a shadow over former human worlds. Their ships glided silently, weapons ready but unseen. They disabled council defenses with surgical strikes. Entire bases were neutralized without a single shot fired in anger. Soldiers awoke to find their weapons missing, ships adrift, and their commanders silent. Elric felt a cold fear. They fight without noise. We cannot fight what we cannot see. On the front lines, a young soldier whispered to his comrade, "Are we ghosts now, or are they?" Tira answered quietly, "We are being hunted." And the hunter does not need to roar. Days passed. The council's forces were pushed back, planet by planet. The humans reclaimed their homes without mercy, but without cruelty. They fought like warriors who had suffered deeply, but kept their honor. In the council chambers, Vesh begged for revenge. We must fight fire with fire. Thren shook her head. No, we must learn from this. Our pride brought us here. Kar looked at the empty seats. Half of our leaders are gone, our fleets shattered. The humans sent no more words, only actions. The galaxy watched in fear as the humans took back what was theirs. Finally, the council surrendered the human worlds. They retreated in silence. Broken and defeated. Lrik stood on the bridge one last time. They were patient. They were strong. They were us, and we did not listen. Thren's voice echoed in his mind. When humans leave quietly, it is not the end. It is only the beginning. Far away, the human fleets vanished once again into the black, leaving behind the lesson the galaxy would never forget. The council chamber was nearly empty. Only a few leaders remained, their faces pale and tired. The war with humanity had cost more than anyone imagined. Ships, worlds, lives, they were all lost in the silence broken only by regret. Counselor Thren sat quietly, staring at the stars through the tall windows. Kar approached her, his voice low. We fought them. We lost much. But what have we truly learned? Thren sighed. We thought their silence meant weakness. We were wrong. Counselor Vesh's voice cut sharply through the room. We should have crushed them when we had the chance. Now they hold the power. Kar shook his head. It was not our strength that failed us, it was our pride. We did not listen when they warned us. From the shadows of the chamber, a message played on every screen. The same human voice echoed. We asked for peace. You took our home. Now you have seen our answer. When mankind leaves quietly, it is never the end. It is a warning. We wait in the silence, and we watch. The room fell into heavy silence. Far from the council, on a dark ship hidden in deep space, Lyra, the human historian, looked at the stars and spoke softly to her brother Jace. We fought to protect our home, not for revenge, but for respect. Jace nodded. They will remember the lesson. But will they ever truly understand? Lyra smiled. Maybe not. But silence is a language they must learn to hear. Back in the council chamber, Kar turned to the few remaining leaders. We must change, not with war, but with wisdom. If we do not, the silence will return. And next time, it may not be a warning. Thren nodded. The lesson is clear. Power lies not only in strength, but in patience and understanding. Vesh looked away, defeated but thoughtful. The galaxy slowly began to rebuild. The wounds ran deep, but the memory of the silent departure and the quiet return of mankind stayed alive. Every species, every world learned to respect the quiet power of those who watch and wait, because when mankind leaves in silence, they are not gone, they are ready.